Alright, I'll tell you what happened. Alright, so I got home, I got in an argument with my mom. She slapped me across the face. She began to hit me. She started beating me. I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death.
You forced her to the floor, and you choked the life out of her. How'd that make you feel?
I felt nothing.
How long did it take?
30 minutes.
You choked your mother on the floor to death for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
When a teenager commits an unthinkable act, we're quick to look for a reason. Perhaps a traumatizing childhood or an abusive parent who refuses to see reason or empathy. But in Gregory Ramos' case, there is absolutely nothing that could explain his evil nature. The way he decided to unalive his mother over getting grounded, the way he took half an hour to do it, the way he dragged her lifeless body all the way to a church is simply unfathomable. What went through Gregory's head as he made his worst decision? And what did he tell detectives during his shocking interrogation? This is the full case of the teen who strangled his mom over getting grounded. It was November 2nd, 2018, when emergency services in Villisca County, Florida, received a call about a burglary.
911, where's your emergency?
I just got home, and my house is completely trashed.
How long have you been gone?
I've been gone all school day. I
Okay.
got home.
Are you there by yourself?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 15.
This boy's voice was trembling, and he was in a clear sign of distress. He could not find his mom, but his car was still in the driveway during a time she was supposed to be at work.
Okay, your mom's car is there. Is there any other way she ever get to work? Does she ever get a ride from anyone else?
No, the car is on. It's turned on.
The car is on, and you're sure she is not there?
I searched the entire place. I've been here for like 8 minutes. I've been looking
Okay.
at finder.
The dispatcher calmly tried to figure out if Gregory's mom, Gail Clevenger, had any enemies, but her son couldn't think of anything on the call and later on when law enforcement arrived at the scene.
Gail?
I copy, thank you.
Elaine Clevenger? Where does she work? She works at an architecture firm up in Orlando.
Is she normally home this time of day?
Oh, she gets home at 6:30.
According to Gregory, he'd last seen his mom when she dropped him off at school that morning.
Is anybody else that ever was again? My dad and my two step-siblings. Where are they at? My dad is on a business trip in Seattle. He'll be back this afternoon at 6:30.
Okay.
And then the two stepchildren have their moms.
Just as Gregory had prepared them, the officers found a completely trashed home. Every drawer was open, there was glass on the kitchen floor, and objects were thrown in the middle of every room. This was strange. It was one thing for a robber to look through cabinets for valuables, but this was a very different thing, to smash things for the fun of it.
Eyes on this broken down.
The officers were quick to note that the only possible motive for this would be a personal vendetta. Gregory was just about to be taken to the station while the officers processed the family's home when a neighbor approached the officer. He said he knew the family well, had a key to their house, and had spoken to both parents the evening before. He also noted something about Gregory.
As I told him, this young man has some depression problems really bad.
Has she had any issues with him lately? Or?
No, not that I know of.
But that was enough for the officers to see Gregory with different eyes. Gregory dreamt of becoming an officer of the law himself. When he was brought to the station, he was allowed to call one adult. He chose Ken Jones, his sponsor with the law enforcement program for teens. Before Gregory spoke to the detectives, he spoke to Ken. Ken's first question to his protege was about the bruises on his face.
What happened here? I got in a fight yesterday with one of my friends. I didn't see that yesterday. I had makeup on. Right.
Although Ken was skeptical of Greg's story, the teen doubled down that it was a friendly fight. However, he was unable to provide his friend's full name. Ken urged Greg to tell the truth to the detectives and let Sergeant Pargelli take over.
How would you say your relationship is with your mom?
It has its ups and downs.
Okay.
I think everyone argues a little bit with their mom.
Okay.
We love each other a lot. And I really hope she's okay.
Gregory seemed to be saying what the officers wanted to hear, but he was unusually calm for a 15-year-old who didn't know where their mother was. The sergeant picked up on that, so he decided to take the interrogation up a notch and test Greg's reaction.
You get home, something happens to your mom, or you and your mom got into hands-on, you did something to your mom. Wouldn't that be far-fetched?
What do you mean?
You killed your mom.
Why would you think I would do that?
Yeah, way too calm for this kind of question. Sergeant Pagliari delved deeper into Greg's relationship with his mom. When Greg was asked if he was ever in trouble at school, he said he'd recently gotten suspended after a pack of cigarettes was found in his backpack. But he wanted the sergeant to know it wasn't his pack.
The weekend beforehand, my friend was feeling ill, so I snuck out of my house to go talk to him, and I talked with him, and my friend smoked cigarettes, and he gave me some to take home with me. I put some in my backpack, and I forgot to take them out, so when I was searched randomly at my school, they were gone.
Did you see how he deflected the blame onto his friend and made himself look good in the process? His friend was feeling very low, so he had to do that, almost as if he was the hero in the story.
And how'd your mom feel about that?
She was not happy, but we worked out a solution, which was me going to do community service for my church.
Gregory said he had gotten better over the years at not getting angry when his mother punished him. He painted himself as a mature boy who knows better than to hate their mom for petty issues. But the more he repeated things like that, the more the sergeant got a bad feeling about him.
The worst thing to do would be put your hands on her?
I would never do something like that.
You would never put your hands on your mom?
No. And I think I've made that point quite clear to her.
Again, here he is in a position of power. He made it clear to his mom, not the other way around. But when the sergeant asked Greg about his last fight with his mom, he revealed that they'd had a fight the night before, after he got a D in biology.
Yeah, well, basically, she was just kind of like, whatever, if you act narcissistic sometimes, don't be so cocky. And I was like, well, I'm not cocky, I'm capable.
Proving just what his mother had said. The fact that Greg openly admitted to his mother calling him a narcissist and him reacting by saying he is capable shows indeed signs of narcissism and entitlement. And these are traits that are quite often linked to killers with antisocial personality disorder. If someone is prone to a lack of empathy and remorse and finds it easy to manipulate others for their own gain, they are surely more likely to commit a crime and feel nothing about it. When the sergeant left the room to make some calls, Gregory broke down to his sponsor, Ken.
My mom's gone. She's dead. I don't make the reconcile with myself. Well, why would you think that's the case? Because no one knows where the hell she is. If he was here right now, what would you say to him? I would just feel like such a dick after every argument we have. It just makes me angry because we don't understand each other. I hope she's dead.
Within 2 minutes, Gregory said his mom was dead and that he wanted her back. His crying also ended abruptly when the sergeant walked in. By now, at least Ken knew Greg had unalived his mom.
Detective Jones was talking about the marks to your face, and
Correct.
I want to talk about that a little bit more.
All right.
When did that happen?
Can I ask what relevance this has to the conversation?
Everything is relevant, right?
Remember how he told his mom he was capable, not cocky? Greg repeated a bogus story of fighting and then hugging it out with a good friend whose last name he didn't know. Sergeant Pagliari wasn't going to have any of that. He was in full confrontational mode by now. First off, the detectives had checked his story with the school and they knew Greg was lying.
Okay. So you didn't take yourself out of school today at 1:10?
No, why?
So the school's wrong. You killed your mom.
Why would you think I would do that?
Greg made a long pause before answering with a cold and calculated question. Any innocent person would become angry or emotional in some way when accused of something this terrible. Instead, Greg was just playing chess.
Have you ever been sexually assaulted?
No. Have you?
Yes,
Okay.
I have. I was sexually assaulted. I reported it to the police. They did nothing.
This was Greg's last desperate attempt to win his perceived game of chess. Drop something tragic and paint himself as the victim.
So, the only person that was really there for me were my parents, and specifically my mom. My mom was the one who helped me through that dark time in my life.
Greg even claimed that he'd tried taking his own life 3 times or more. With this story, he only demonstrated his narcissistic personality traits once more.
To be completely honest with you. And so, that's what I'm gonna do. So, flip the page and I'll tell you what happened.
His entitlement is downright disgusting, especially when you learn what Greg had done that day. Claiming he cared for his family and that the sergeant deserved the truth, Greg confessed to sneaking out the night before with 2 friends to drive around and get high.
In that hour or 2, I smoked a lot of cigarettes, drank a lot of alcohol, did a lot of shit. I was the one driving, and I wasn't. And while I had some drinks, I wasn't drunk. I wasn't drunk driving. Like, I was fully lucid.
He said he'd drank a lot of alcohol.
And we drove to this church, and there's a fire pit in the back. And so me and my friends smoked a bit there, drank a bit there. I popped an tab, set by the front.
Greg told several changing stories filled with unnecessary details.
It's not possible that Dylan and Brian came to your house after they dropped you off, stole your shit and killed your mom. Is that possible?
Well, I'd see them drive past me.
Pressed again, Greg finally raised his voice.
So I don't know what happened. I already told you.
Okay.
I'm giving you my alibi, so you know I didn't off my mom.
This was not the first time Greg was talking more like a lawyer than a 15-year-old. But unlike a lawyer, Gregory did not think the detectives would be interviewing his friends, Brian and Dylan, at that very same time.
Yeah,
What's going on, man?
have you ever gone to Greg's house?
Yeah, I'm in a Greg's house.
Okay. When do you think the last time was you were over there?
I mean, probably last time I worked with him. Right? Yeah, last time I worked with him, so like Saturday.
Initially, both boys had kept a simple story of not talking to Greg over the previous 2 days.
He messaged me that something happened, that's all I've heard though.
Yeah. Did you see Greg today?
That's cool.
What time?
From last I saw him was lunch.
But after pressing Dylan for the truth, he revealed that the 2 friends did see Greg after school that day. Brian drove them both to Greg's house, where Greg gave Dylan his prized possessions.
He gave me his gaming laptop, his gaming PC. He gave me his bow that I borrowed. Today? Hold that.
So it was a staged robbery.
He and Brian were driving to school this morning, and he called me and Brian. Hey, something big happened. He wouldn't say it on the phone.
Dylan was off camera, thinking he wasn't being recorded when he broke the whole truth to one detective.
So me and him had to go get him. Then he gets in the car, and he says, I did it. I really did it. I killed my mother.
Greg enrolled his friends into staging a robbery. They picked up his tech and threw away his parents' valuables in a local dumpster.
Threw away, like you said, the printer, the jukebox.
Brian also said that he drove Greg to the church, where he threw a trunk full of random stuff. The church's fire pit, where Greg had said the boys did narcotics, was starting to sound like a burial site.
He said that he killed his mother, and I didn't really believe it.
Both Dylan and Brian confessed. Gregory could not lie to the sergeant anymore.
Did you kill your mother, take things from your house, distribute them amongst your friends, come in here today and lie to my face and say that you didn't do that?
No,
No what?
I didn't do that.
The detectives had now retrieved what Greg had reported as stolen from his house. It was obvious how, but the sergeant made it even more obvious.
I give you a clue. It's one of your buddies.
Are you saying my friends robbed my house?
Is that what you took out of this? Is that I'm saying that your friends robbed your house?
It's crazy how dumb Greg thought the sergeant was.
When your buddy says that you told him you killed your mother, he's lying.
Greg stood silent for a whole minute and then said this.
Oh, good, whatever. Alright, I'll tell you what happened. Alright, so I got home, I got in an argument with my mom. She slapped me across the face, she began to hit me. She started beating me. I didn't like it, so I strangled her to death. I put her in a wheelbarrow, I put her in my car, I took the car, I had a mental breakdown where I almost committed suicide 3 times.
Did he still see himself as the victim in all of this?
I dig a hole right under fire pit. All this time, my mom's decomposing body, I dragged it from my car to the fire pit. In which case, I tried to cut the wedding ring off her finger because I wanted to pawn it, but I couldn't because I didn't have a knife strong enough to cut bones. Oh well, whatever.
This confession would be chilling, even coming out of Ted Bundy's mouth, but this was a 15-year-old.
So you forced her to the floor and you choked the life out of her. How'd that make you feel?
I felt nothing.
How long did it take?
30 minutes.
You choked your mother on the floor to death for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Gregory described emotionlessly how he dragged his mom's body and complained about its weight. He also complained about losing his future, not his mom's, his.
Or whatever. Just ruined my future, blah, 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 whatever.
It's almost hilarious to see how Greg lived in a parallel world. He was confident that he could manipulate the detectives with his calm voice and cocky statements. And yet, it was precisely those that showed them what a psychopathic narcissist he was. But this case is not funny. Greg did a horrible thing, and he was taking zero responsibility for it. What's worse, he roped his friends into this, and they were happy to drive over to the crime scene and steal Gail's belongings.
And then after school, you took him to the church.
Yeah.
And then you just started divvying out
Yeah, I said, take what you want.
Knowing that your mother was dead, then you told them take what you want, and they were good with that.
During the last few minutes of his interrogation, Greg displayed one last dramatic show of narcissism.
So since I'm in the police station already, ready to do handcuffs and all that jazz?
You probably will be handcuffed at some point. Yeah.
Dope, bro. And then I did Act of the Century. She's giving me a Grammy for that 9/11 or 911 call.
But Greg didn't get a Grammy or the reward of being set free from manipulating the detectives. Instead, he was sent to jail, and so were his two friends. When Brian and Dylan were arrested, they complained about getting grounded by their parents. Then, they sang a song together.
I fell down. I was listening to that show. 3 doors down, so you can't ignore it. I'll hunt you down like Tyrannosaurus.
Neither of them realized they would go to jail for covering up a murder. Dylan was sentenced to 828 in jail and 10 years of probation. Brian was sentenced to 1 year in prison and 14 years of probation. When it came to Gregory Ramos, Sheriff Mike Chitwood said, "He's one of the top 3 sociopaths that I have ever come in contact with." That's a serious statement coming from someone with decades of encountering hardened criminals. Greg was charged as an adult and sentenced to 45 years in prison and lifetime probation. Considering his absolute lack of remorse and even pride for what he did, it's unlikely he will change his behavior anytime soon. And without remorse, you can't get paroled. So Greg might die in prison. Perhaps that's for the best. One can only wonder how Gail's family is coping with this today. Her husband, Danny, came home from work that night only to find a crime scene. In one day, Danny and his children were left without a family or an explanation. Greg's only explanation for why he killed his mom was that she hit him first and, quote, "it was unfitting." How do you move on from this tragedy when you have all this? Thanks for watching, you guys. What are your thoughts on this case? Let me know in a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.